Austin, Texas, the ATX, the 512. Keep Austin weird. We're the live music capital of the world. Austin city limits. The Texas Longhorns. 6th Street. And it's completely affordable for everyone to live and work here. And hey, there's like zero traffic. Okay, so those last couple of parts aren't exactly true. The thing is, Austin isn't perfect. It isn't what it used to be, and it's changing all the time.
I just like the culture. I like the feel of it. I liked who I became when I came here, which was very cool.
Austin musician Alan Barnett owns Primadora on South Congress. The gift shop is basically one big love letter to the city he started visiting when places like the Armadillo World headquarters reigned supreme.
When I came up here in high school and college, it was at the tail end of all that. So that's kind of where I wanted to keep it.
But keeping it doesn't seem to be an option. Places like Liberty Lunch are long gone. But now old Austin spots like the 53-year-old Ella's Teca are also falling by the wayside due to the rising costs of doing business here. There are some survivors, though, like Kruger's Jewelry.
Rent is manageable because we've been renting from the same family since 1939 when my father opened this store.
When you look at the drag, there are very few old Austin remnants. The Wooten Barber Shop has been there since 1964. Current owner James Nelson started working at the shop in the early 90s. I needed a haircut anyway, so... Let's talk about how the street has changed in 30 years.
Well, it's changed a bunch. We used to have a lot more parking right out front.
Nelson says the rent is not cheap, but it is workable because, like Kruger's, they've had the same landlord for decades, and the barber has a fairly positive view on recent changes to the drag.
They say there's over 13,000 more beds in the West Campus than there was in '06 in 10 years. That's a whole lot of foot traffic that's available to us and to the little restaurants up and down the street.
Even some newer businesses can't survive the outrageous rent, like the veteran-owned Brass House Jazz Club, and a place that became an iconic part of the hip rebirth of South Congress, Snack Bar. No, it's not Old Austin per se, but it is a mom-and-pop shop built into an Old Austin landmark, the Austin Motel. Owner Bethany Andre says new property owners took over the motel and told her Snack Bar couldn't stay beyond their current lease.
Legally, we could have stayed 2 more years, but instead we chose to go ahead and leave early so that we could close properly.
Even if Snack Bar had stuck around, Andre says the rent was coming to a boiling point.
It was going in that direction. I mean, when we renewed our lease, there's definitely significant increases over the next 3 years, over the 3 years that were coming up. 60% increase.
Ward Tisdale with the Real Estate Council of Austin says it's just supply and demand.
That's kind of where the city comes in at the government level. They need to do a better job of approving plans and permits to keep things moving along. Otherwise, rents are going to go up, leases are going to go up, and the citizens and businesses are going to suffer from that.
What's sad is with that comes the loss of the mom and pop quirky businesses that are here.
Austin City Council member Ora Houston's family moved here in the 1940s when she was just a baby. And by here, she means right here.
And these trees behind me, I used to play on them.
Where Houston once stood on her front porch, now stands the Amley East Side Apartments. I asked her if she too feels like Austin is losing its local Old Austin vibe.
I think so. I think so, and I'm not sure what we do to do a mid-course correction. I think the die is pretty much set. On some of the streets in District 1, one developer has purchased 35 parcels of land. There's no way that the community could generate that kind of revenue to have been able to do some protection.
Houston says she's not anti-growth, but she does have some serious concerns about what's happening to the city.
We have to think about how do we then keep that we love about this city, at the same time manage what we're doing so that we don't outpace ourselves. And that's the fear that I have at this point, is that a gentleman told me the other day, we don't need to put our foot on the brake, but at least take our foot off the accelerator.
Casey Claiborne, Fox 7 News.